Businesses, meantime, will start to reopen, including public transportation at a limited capacity, while people under lockdown worry about added expenses, including increased electricity consumption. How can Filipinos afford to be on quarantine for a longer period? We discuss in this episode of the Chiefs. Welcome to this special edition of the Chiefs. With me right now are Luchi Cruz Valdez of News 5 and Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star. Luchi, Ami, welcome.
Good evening.
Look, our guest tonight, I understand, will have limited time with us. And also, very important guest, a lot of things to discuss with him. So, diretso na tayo sa kanya. Kasama po natin ang bagong head ng NEDA, Mr. Karl Kendrick Chua. Secretary Chua, welcome to the Chiefs.
Good evening to everyone, to Robbie, Luchi, and Ami, and to our viewers.
Good evening.
Okay. Secretary Chua, let's dive straight into it. People are very anxious, excited, looking forward, nervous, and so on. So many emotions with regards to the question of getting back on track, getting back to their work, and so on. But on a macro level, how is NEDA looking at this? How do we get the country's economy back on track?
Well, we are actually in a very good position right now to address the COVID crisis. We entered 2020 actually with one of the strongest economies in the region. In fact, if I may say, also in the world. Despite the global slowdown caused by the trade war and other factors, we actually saw the economy growing by an average of 6.6% between 2016 and 2019. And we saw, because of our Build program, wherein we put almost 1 trillion pesos last year and the year before that on infrastructure, we were able to bring down poverty, unemployment, and underemployment rates to the lowest ever in many, many decades. And so we entered 2020 with a very strong start. Unfortunately, we saw 3 succeeding non-expected shocks that hit the economy hard. In January, Taal volcano erupted. No one expected that. In February, the global pandemic started, and tourism and trade, particularly from China, slowed down significantly and actually collapsed. And in March, we took the very difficult decision of closing down the economy because our priority was saving lives. And because of ECQ, we have saved more than 100,000 lives. And we are far better than other countries with cases numbering up to 1 million. So this is where we are right now. Fortunately, we have used the time wisely to buy time to make our health sector ready. We are testing more than 8,000 per day, and that is a good sign. And in fact, as of today, more than 2/3 of the country are under general community quarantine, and Manila is under the modified ECQ. And so we are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And if we work together, if all of us stay home, only go out to buy food, we avoid spreading the virus. If all of us contribute our little effort, then we can get this economy restarted very soon. So that is where we are.
Okay, so Secretary, I think the message is that, look, nakapag-imbak naman tayo, marami naman tayong bala, meron tayong panlaban. But the next question is, where do you spend that? Where do you focus the resources as we emerge into whatever modified form of ECQ is out there?
Let me continue the story. So a while ago, I talked about the real economy. So GDP and the employment and underemployment being very good. Let's talk about the fiscal resources. In 2019, we hit the highest revenue to GDP effort of 16.1% of GDP, the highest since 1997 or 23 years. We also have the lowest debt to GDP ratio. 15 years ago, we were borrowing and our debt reached almost 80% of GDP. Today, it is down to 39% of GDP. So in summary, we have a very big room or fiscal space. And that is what we are actually using to support the 18 million poor families who need social amelioration. It is what we are using to support 3.4 million employees of small businesses, and also how we are providing adequate capacity to the healthcare system. So we have adequate funds and we are using them wisely. And we are going to borrow more because this is a pandemic and we have to respond, but we have a very good fiscal position to do so. In fact, so long as we use the money properly to revive the economy, put it in infrastructure and in the healthcare system, this will create a number of opportunities and hasten our recovery.
Secretary Chua, I want to focus on the positives. Now, that's a pretty positive picture of what we can expect in the coming months. And you mentioned infrastructure and BBB. You said, I think it was you. You said that you want to focus on high impact projects. Can you define exactly what these projects are? Public works ba yan? Because we're going into GCQ, much of the country except 3 areas by Saturday. No, what are these projects?
Well, let me continue again the story because it's important to begin with the context where we came from. 20 years ago, the World Bank, ADB, IMF have been telling us you need to put more money on infrastructure. At that time, we were spending only 100 billion peso per year or less than 2% of our GDP on infrastructure. Since 2016, we have slowly increased the infrastructure spending and we reached the magic number of 5% of GDP infrastructure spending in 2018. And that also was sustained in the following year despite the slowdown in the budget approval. In fact, it was delayed for 5 months. We were able to catch up eventually. So infrastructure spending has been instrumental to sustaining high GDP growth. It was instrumental in lifting 6 million Filipinos out of poverty between 2015 and 2018. It's instrumental in bringing unemployment and underemployment rates to the lowest ever in a long time, at 5% for unemployment and around 14% for underemployment. So the story here is that this is really the formula for rapid, sustained, and inclusive growth. And in the recovery plan, this is really how we should bring the economy back to its pre-crisis performance. And we will begin with the most impactful build projects. Ibig sabihin, yung mga ready na with biggest impact on the economy in terms of value added and also on jobs. The nice thing about infrastructure, unlike consumption, is that when you put 1 peso, when the government puts 1 peso, the private sector puts another 1 peso. That is called the multiplier. The multiplier is 2. And that is how we are going to restart this economy. We're going to put millions of jobs back through the build, direct jobs. The private sector will put another million of jobs and so on until we get this economy restarted.
Hi, Secretary, could you give us an example or maybe even a short list of examples of these quote-unquote impactful projects so that people can picture what exactly you're talking about?
Well, we are actually right now in government reprioritizing the build program. As I mentioned a while ago, we cannot do everything now because one, we have put a lot of the money towards the healthcare system, to feeding the poor and giving social amelioration. So our budget is now limited. So we are going through this exercise of reprioritizing the build. But there are many projects actually in Manila and outside that are already in advanced stages. So if you go to Manila area, the Skyway is very much in advanced stage. There are also MRT projects along Commonwealth that are also moving ahead. So these are examples in Manila wherein we can simply focus our attention and complete them. In the provinces, there are hundreds of other smaller infrastructure projects that are already being in the process of being completed. So we will begin with that kasi yan yung pinaka-impactful na we can feel the benefit sooner.
Secretary,
Go ahead.
Secretary, let me reverse the question. Which among the BBB projects will probably have to take a back seat for now?
In general, because we are still discussing, if the project hasn't started at all, it's still under feasibility study or the financing is not yet ready, then maybe they can wait a bit. while we prioritize our resources in moving the projects that are more shovel ready and that can create the jobs and help the GDP or economic growth recover. And
So how
maybe by next week we'll have a more complete list to share.
okay. How many projects are we talking about?
There are 100 investment flagship projects, infrastructure flagship projects. We are reviewing that list so that we can move as many of them. There are actually thousands of other smaller projects that are not seen by us in Manila, but are very impactful in the province, because that's how low-income people, the rural countrymen, can access basic services. So if you imagine a school child traveling 1 or 2 hours to get to school and going back, if we have a road for them, if there is public transport, then that improves productivity. So those are examples. But again, maybe by next week we will have more, a list after the vetting and review process to share with everyone.
Secretary Neda is also being urged to speed up the rollout of the national ID system. Sabi nila, if this was available na, mas hindi ganyan kagulo yung distribution ng social amelioration program. How is it coming along, the national ID?
Well, Ami, you are perfectly right that if we had the national ID, then it would be much better. We would have reduced the inefficiency and possibly leakages and save a lot of money. So when I was appointed as acting NEDA secretary, I met with the PSA actually almost every other day, and I was very hands-on. I realized that we can work together better, and we actually move many things. In fact, by Monday, we will have started the procurement of the final major package, which is the systems integrator. In fact, people can visit the PSA website, and it's already announced the plan going forward. We are not going to be able to do the registration immediately, because can you imagine if 100 or 1,000 people go out to registration centers, line up? That will violate social distancing. If you put your fingers and your iris sa scanner and fingerprint scanner, that's also leaving a trace of the virus. So we will have to do this carefully and not rush it, kasi baka it becomes a source pa of the spread of the virus. So we will prepare, and when it's ready and safe, we will register as many as we can, up to at least 5 million households. And we will start with the poor with no ID.
So mga kailan kaya
Secretary,
yan? Anong timetable? Mga kailan kaya yan?
Well, the commitment of the PSA is to register 5 million, at least 5 million household heads by the end of the year. So when I came in, they were planning to register 5 million individuals. So sabi ko sa kanila, and they accepted my proposal, we should register 5 million household heads. Kasi if you register one person per family, and that will cover, let's say, 5 members in a family, that will cover immediately 25 million Filipinos. And you don't really need an ID for everyone, including the children. You just need an ID for the mother, so that the mother can open a bank account, register with the government or DSWD, and then we can download the funds immediately. In fact, when we distributed the 205 billion social amelioration, by one click of DSWD, it was able to distribute to 3.2 million CCT or 4P beneficiary, kasi may ID and may bank account sila. Yung iba, sadly, naghirap tayo. So once we have the national ID, we will open bank accounts and we will provide the subsidy or any support to the poor people in a more efficient manner.
Hi, Secretary, I'd like to focus on sectors this time. Although in this case, I want to start with, calling them sectors is sort of understating it, because these two are in fact pillars to our economy. What's the prognosis for OFWs and BPOs?
Well, the good news is our economy is very diversified. 10 years ago, maybe the BPO is the main driver of the economy. 20 years ago, OFW remittance was the main driver, but today we are a very diversified economy. And we are, of course, banking on many other sectors to help us restart the economy. On OFW, yes, we have seen thousands of them come back without jobs. maybe 100,000. But remember, we have millions of them in diversified occupations in healthcare, so they will not run out of job. In fact, we are very much demanded. We have a global brand, and they like our quality of service. Many of the OFWs are in various high tech or service oriented work, and they are working at home or in their office. Many of us have made the sacrifice of being domestic workers or household helpers in other countries, and they have their jobs. So I wouldn't say that there is a significant problem. There are temporary setbacks, and those who have come home, we are helping them.
But
BPO also in the same manner, BPOs are also very diversified, and in fact, we have already built a brand name. So there may be temporary setbacks, but they are actually good contributors among many other sectors.
I ask about the BPOs because I recently McKinsey had a briefing session with Asia Society, and one of their observations, they did say it is still anecdotal at this point, but they're closely monitoring a possible trend to onshoring worldwide. In other words, as everybody goes into recession, other countries might have a tendency to try to bring back jobs to their shores. Is this a concern of yours as well?
Well, the minimum wage here is $10 per day, or less than $2 per hour. The minimum wage in those countries that are attempting to bring them back is $8 per hour. So by that, you start to wonder whether those plans will really happen. Maybe yes, maybe no. The truth is, everything now is about productivity, where you can have the highest return and where you can lower your costs. So those are the things that companies should think about. And I haven't seen those things even before when other countries were trying to bring back the jobs. So it's really about being competitive and being realistic, where the market will give you the most or the highest return.
Secretary, how are you doing now that you're taking over at this horrible time?
Well, it's not the best time to transition to a new job, especially under a once in a century crisis. I feel I will be happier if I were doing something else, but I've taken and responded to the call of duty to try to help, to see what I can bring, given my long experience as an economist. And I hope everyone in government and the private sector work together, because this is the only way we can address the crisis if we work as one nation. So thank you for your concern, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I wish we had more time, but
Well,
yeah.
I can give you more time if you have more airtime. It's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, I will ask about OFWs then. Continuing that discussion about OFWs, where do you draw the optimism that because we've been hearing that before, na pagka ang OFWs naman natin, a door closes, windows open. But in this case, even the Middle East is caught not only in this global crisis, they're caught up in their own oil crisis, and there's nowhere to run. So, if in particular, then one of the figures thrown around before was at worst maybe up to 500,000 jobs and workers coming home. Where do you draw the optimism that that revolving door still applies in these current situations?
Well, I first of all think that this is a temporary setback, not only for Philippines, not only for OFWs, but the rest of the world. And the reality here is that we really have to live with this new normal until a more permanent solution can happen. The good news is maybe 5 or 10 years ago, when the OFWs left the country to find work, our unemployment was higher at employment at that time was 20%. Now I've shown you the statistics. Unemployment went down to 5%. The underemployment went down to around 14% or 13% in the first quarter. And in fact, when we launched the Build, the problem was not the money, but to find the skilled workers who have left the country. So in a market economy, there is a supply and demand. And the good news here is there is a bigger demand for workers. and their skills in the Philippines. So that is one. The second is, when you look at the oil price, we have seen ups and downs. In 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, remember oil price also went so low and it went up and now it's down. Countries cope and manage. This is how market economies work. There are times of high price, times of low price, and governments that use, save for the rainy days have a better opportunity to help and serve the people. And this is where Philippines is today. We did the reforms, we made sacrifices, we saved for the rainy days, and now we have the strongest crisis, and we are ready to face it and help the people.
Okay. Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Karl Kendrick Chua, maraming salamat for joining us. Please stay right there. The Chiefs will be right back.
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Welcome back to this special edition of the Chiefs. We'd like to welcome Governor Ben Evardone, whose province has been the entrance for Typhoon Ambo, no, sa San Policarpio Town. Governor Evardone, naririnig po niyo kami?
Yes,
Governor
good evening. Good
Evardone.
evening, Robigo.
Yes,
Lucy,
good
good evening po.
Yes, si Robbie and Lucy, no? Kumusta naman? Kasi narinig ko na sabi nyo, you had to evacuate. Ang lakas-lakas ng mga picture na nakita namin ng mga typhoon sa bayan nyo, sa probinsya nyo. And you said, ang pinakamalaking problema ngayon is the evacuation. Yung evacuation, you described it as a nightmare. Considering na we are doing this in the middle of the pandemic at kailangan natin ng social distancing. Kumusta na po yung status ng probinsya?
Well, sa ngayon, humupa na yung bagyo, salamat. At, pero total blackout kami dito, walang electricity. Mayroon po kaming 6 na bayan na walang communication lines sa telepono. Even our radio facility of the province was destroyed, cannot access sa area. So, ngayon, marami po tayong mga nasa mga evacuees ngayon. Unfortunately ngayon, we were not able to use the evacuation centers because all of them we converted into COVID ligtas centers. So, nasa mga eskwelahan po yung mga kababayan po natin ngayon. Ang problema namin yung issue ng social distancing, etc. and other health protocols na dapat mapatupad.
So anong ginagawa niyo, sir? Anong, sabihin na natin, best scenario para sa social distancing?
Yun ang best scenario, sana nga walang mga symptomatic, kahit na yung mga illness tinatawag na influential like illnesses, hindi magtawahan, no? Kasi ngayon, sa totoo lang, hindi rin nare-report ngayon dito, Lucy at saka Robbie, may outbreak din kami ng dengue dito ngayon eh. Kasi
sabay-sabay talaga.
Sabay. So nagkaka-problema kami ngayon dito. But nevertheless, I'm thankful that we have a very good frontliners here, no? 2 months namin binubuo ito, binubuno, COVID-free ang Eastern Samar. Maganda yung border checkpoint po namin kasi ay hindi po talaga namin pinapapasok yung mga ibang kababayan namin. Tapos kung if at all, pina-quarantine po namin, dinidetect, ina-isolate, dinitreat, sinusub, etc. So far, wala po kaming COVID dito. Unlike hindi naman natin pag-denigrade, yung sa Western Samar po, I think 16 na po ang case po nila. Northern Samar, mayroon pong isa sa amin po, sa buong island, kami lang po ang walang COVID so far. So
Pero,
we're trying to...
Gob, nabanggit niyo pa rin yung concern niyo for social distancing. Para lang po malinaw, your concern stems from what? Is it about facilities, or is it about resources? Is it about manpower?
Well, parang combination of all na yan, Robbie, dahil manpower namin nasa mga yung iba nasa evacuation centers, no? Tapos resources wise talagang depleted na kami dahil ako I must admit that even our meager calamity fund depleted na. In fact, I had to realign some of my other budgets for other projects and programs for COVID, to address the COVID issue. Just like the other municipalities, no? Kasi sila nakakailang round na rin sila ng relief operations dahil wala ngang nagtatrabaho na tao. Although recently nag-open up na kami, nag-GCQ na kami, so mga critical sectors like farming and fishing, nag-open up na kami at saka yung infra. So it's a combination of talaga yung problema namin dito. But nevertheless, I think we will be able to make it naman. Lalo na kung matulungan kami ng national government.
Yun nga, anong ninyo? Anong pangunahing hiling ninyo sa gobyerno ngayon, sa national government?
Ang pinaka-immediate ngayon, Lucy, ang pagkain ng mga evacuees po namin, kung maaari pong ma-release kaagad from DSW. Kasi ang normal protocol, pero kung calamity, ang unang nagbibigay ng pagkain yung mga barangay. Second, yung LGU, municipality, patapos province. Saka na lang pumapasok yung DSWD pagka huli na, pagka hindi na nakakayanan. This time, baliktad ng sitwasyon, no? Depleted na yung barangay, depleted na yung munisipyo, depleted yung province. So, dapat po ngayon talagang mag-upfront na ang DSWD. Kasi DSWD hindi naman sila namigay ng mga relief goods dito sa COVID. Kami lang mga LGUs lang. So, I'm sure they have a lot of stocks na naka-preposition.
Okay.
Governor, sa nakikita nyo ngayon, because this pandemic is going to persist, no, kahit mag-general community quarantine na tayo, saka tuloy-tuloy pa rin naman yung mga bagyo natin the whole year. Nakikita nyo ngayon yung problema. Meron ba kayong mga long-term plans to improve your capacity, lalo na sa pag-accommodate ng evacuation, ang mga evacuees?
Yun na nga yun ang talagang malaking challenge sa amin yan. Ma'am Ami, no amount of preparation can suffice, no? But we are doing our best, no? We are doing our best. In fact, sa ngayon pa lang nagka-craft na kami ng complementary program para dun sa balik probinsya, no? Kasi mayroon national program, kami ang sasalo dito niyan. Ngayon, kung hindi rin kami matulungan ng national government, maaaring silbihan magbabalikan din yan sa mga urban centers, no?
Yeah.
Para maging viable yan. So, kailangan talaga holistic approach itong balik sa probinsya. Pauwiin lang yan dito. Kung wala namang masasalo, hindi naman sila masasalo dito na viable na alternative na hanap buhay, livelihood at saka pagkakakitaan.
Paano ang rebuilding project ninyo dyan? Ngayon na maraming nasirang bahay, or paano ang reconstruction nyo? Gayong depleted na ang pondo.
Yan ang malaking tanong dyan, Lucy, ano? Yun ang malaking tanong kasi hindi pa kami nakakabangon doon sa Ursula. Remember, tinamaan kami ng Ursula nung December, nung Pasko. Maraming infrastruktura na nasira. Ang yung iba dyan ng calamity fund namin, naka-allocate na doon. Naka-allocate na. Tapos pumasok pa itong COVID. No? Pumasok pa itong COVID. We are constructing a field hospital, extension hospital in the social hall ng State University namin dito. Doon nakabuhos yung resources namin. Kasi pa, pumasok pa itong Ambo na ito. So talagang it's a malaking challenge talaga sa amin yun, resources wise. Hindi pa lang kung
may tawag kayo sa mga constituent nyo. Anong masasabi nyo, Governor? Dahil lahat naghihirap ngayon.
Yun, totoo po yan. Ang assurance naman natin isang kabutihan sa ngayong panahon dito sa amin, sa amin eh. So halos lahat ng household may mga palay o bigas, no? So yung boto palagi ko hindi masyado yan. Kumbaga support na lang yung mga relief goods, no? So ang panawagan po namin na yung crisis huwag muna tayong maglabasan ng bahay na muna dahil mako-compound problema natin eh. Ngayon marami nang nagbubunyi na parang na kami, lowest na yung iba, maglalabasan na, magpa-party, etc. Hindi pwedeng gano'n dahil hindi natin alam yung kalaban natin itong COVID. No? Kung wala tayong oras na dapat magpapalito ito, kailangan tuloy-tuloy po yung natin, yung struggle natin dito sa COVID.
Okay. Governor Ben Evardone of Eastern Samar. Marami pong salamat for joining the Chiefs at sana po umayos ang problema sa probinsya ninyo. Don't go away, we'll just pause
Maraming salamat.
Sige, the Chiefs will be back.
Salamat po, maraming salamat.
Welcome back to this special edition of the Chiefs. We just talked to the Governor of Eastern Samar, Mr. Ben Evardone, who said wala daw pong kuryente doon sa kanila, kaya medyo masama yung aming reception kanina. Pasensya na po kayo. But now, we have with us officials of MERALCO, the spokesperson, Mr. Joe Zaldarriaga. Welcome po to the Chiefs. and the head of customer process, Engineer Ferdinand Alejandro. Good evening
Hi,
po.
hi, good evening, Ami. Good evening, Lucy. Good evening, Robbie. At sa
Yes.
inyong mga tagapanood and to all your televiewers and those with us tonight.
Yeah, hindi lang po sa Eastern Samar, actually kami nakarinig ng mga reports of outages in
Yes,
recent weeks nagkaroon dun sa, even in Metro Manila. Ano ba nangyayari? Dahil daw ba yung sa pandemic? Totoo ba yun?
Well,
Higher demand or dahil sa init?
Yes, no, noong May 6 actually, that was the height of the interruptions that transpired in the MERALCO franchise area, particularly in Metro Manila, because we've observed a very high surge in demand in our residential segment. So what happened was that the severe increase in demand caused our facilities to be stretched, particularly our distribution transformers and our secondary wires. We are in a very different situation now, Ami, precisely because we are under a lockdown situation. Since ECQ was implemented middle of March, we observed that our residential customers was really consuming so much electricity. And this caused a burden actually on our distribution facilities, particularly our transformers and but we've addressed that situation as it transpired. There were outages that initially occurred as I mentioned, starting May 6, if memory serves me right. At unti-unti naman naibalik namin yung areas na nawala ng kuryente. At ang solution na ginawa namin doon was number one, we operated the capacity and capability of our facilities, particularly our distribution transformers. And if needed, we conducted what we technically term as a split loading. Ibig sabihin sa isang kalye, kung masyadong mataas na yung binibigay na load consistently during that particular day, ilipat na namin yung ibang areas into another distribution transformer or facility. So inunti-unti namin yan, and I'm happy to report that we're almost restored all affected customers. The last time I saw, I think it was just this evening, we have around 2,000 left, customers left from a high of almost 700,000 in May 6. So we're slowly making inroads insofar as the restoration of electricity due to severe high demand is concerned. And the other thing that exacerbated the situation was the extreme temperatures what we are really experiencing right now. I understand based on news reports, umaabot pa ng 42 to 50 degrees.
Yeah.
And-
Speaking of which, Mr. Zaldarriaga, what's the prognosis?
Joe na lang.
Formal tayo ngayon eh. Sabi sa amin, kailangan daw, kung hindi nga raw pwede. But given the heat, on the one hand, there's heat. On the other hand, we are expecting some rain to come in. Given both, what's the prognosis for our power supply looking forward?
Well, we've actually already remedied the situation, as I've mentioned, Robbie, by operating our facilities and split loading some of the areas that we saw as critically loaded. And we continue to do what is necessary to ensure that this situation does not occur again. Because the behavior of consumers in this time of ECQ was very different compared to that of last year. And let me just say this for a fact, that actually during the summer months, this is what we call seasonality of consumption. We could really see the rise in demand. That is a given every year. But the situation has been exacerbated, as I mentioned, because we are now under lockdown. So yung kung dati, tayo, we are able to go to the office, and then after office, we're able to go to the mall during weekends as well. We are able to somehow go on a break and leave our homes. Or we even sometimes go on local and foreign vacation. We leave our house for a very long period of time or short period of time, whatever the case may be. Ngayon, iba, dito tayong lahat sa bahay and everybody is consuming energy at unprecedented levels in the residential segment. So that's really adding strain to our facilities servicing the residential sector. Kaya nga in-address namin yan by upgrading our facilities. And right now, as I said, we've already managed to do the necessary correction para hindi na mangyari yung mga interruptions.
Joe, pati ba yung mga jumper na address nyo? Eh, syempre, pati yung mga illegal connections. Buhay na buhay.
Lucia, yan din yung napansin namin. Apparently, many of those who areas had cases of illegal service connections, primarily because, syempre, yung law enforcers are now more or less in the checkpoints. That is where they are doing their task. So yung dating patrolling that used to be done in what we call the hotspot areas, definitely nagkaroon ng konting easing up a bit, no? Kasi nabawasan kasi naka-lockdown tayong lahat eh. And there are particular cases, I can cite one, dun sa may area sa Quezon City, sa may Commonwealth. Pag naayos na namin, when our crew left, couple of hours, it tripped again. Nagkaroon ng explosion na naman dun sa facility. And then finally, we needed to trace it. Nakita doon sa area, meron palang nagtatap na illegal service connection na community. So that's why I was saying during my previous interface with media, at this point in time, siguro kailangan naman yung mga kababayan natin to exercise some degree of concern in the community. Lalo yung mga nag-illegal connection. But we basically pinpointed those areas. Isa pang culprit na nakita namin, yung mga nagpapalipad na sa Saranggola. Actually, the kite strings and the kite itself sometimes gets entangled in their lines or it hits our transformers, causing power interruptions even in critical areas such as hospitals. And
bawal nga lumabas. Sino nagpapalipad ngayon sa Saranggola?
Magugulat ka, Luchi. Meron isang footage, umakyat sa bubong, doon nagsaranggola.
Oo.
Baka birthday. Baka birthday,
Yeah.
Luchi.
So sabi nga,
Meron niyang
actually nag-coordinate na talaga din kami sa mga down the barangay
LGU.
levels. Kung pwede ho, wag na muna tayo magpalipad ng saranggola kasi ang saranggola pang open field. Hindi siya pwede kung saan marami yung facilities.
Okay, Engineer Alejandro, nakalagay dito, kayo ang head of customer process. Ibig sabihin ba po nun, kayo ang tatanungin namin tungkol sa mga electricity bills na nakukuha namin?
hot topic po ngayon yan. Kaya pagtutulungan po yan namin ni Joe ngayong gabi. At para mapadali po.
In fairness, iba-iba yung storya na nakukuha ko. I have to say,
Yes.
I was pleasantly surprised. We were bracing for mataas na kuryente, gagaya ng nakwento ni Joe, na totoo naman, nandito kami buong araw, nakabukas ang aircon, ang electric fan, lahat. So we were bracing for that. But we saw fine print that explained it, na hindi, kaya mababa yan, in-average lang namin yung previous months mo. But there are posts on social media that we're seeing na nag-bill shock talaga yung mga tao. So parang iba-iba yung experience. Ano po ba talaga dapat ang ini-expect namin?
Nag-expect talaga tayo ng medyo mataas na bill kasi sabi nga ni Joe kanina, ang mga family, mga bata, tayo nasa bahay, working from home. So may hinanda rin akong isang table dito para madali natin ma-explain. Ito yung bill ni Joe Zaldarriaga. Isa-sample natin para makita natin kung paano talaga we can compute kung magkano yung ating consumption. So as you can see, kita natin dito yung December bill, December 2019, Joe consumed 220, actual reading pa yan. And then for January, merong reading na 1220 yung past month, and then yung current month for January 1400. So ang na-consume ni Joe is 180, actual reading pa. And then February also, Joe consumed 200 kilowatt hours, actual reading kasi parang normal situation pa tayo. But come March, di ba, in compliance to the enhanced community quarantine, we suspended the actual meter reading of our customer on March 16. Kung walang reading, Robbie, anong i-render natin na bills sa customers? So we rendered estimated bills to our customers using the approved methodology of using the daily average consumption of the preceding 3 months. So para sa buwan ng Marso, kukunin mo yung daily average nung December, January, February, di-divide mo ng 3, kaya we arrive at 204 kilowatt-hour, the estimated kilowatt-hour for March. Remember, ito ay approved methodology ng ERC's for distribution services rule. So, for March, we use 204 as explained, pero yung basis nito, Roby, yung 3 preceding months used in March are considered low consumption months, di ba? December, January, malamig pa yan, so hindi tayo nagbubukas ng aircon compared to the summer months. So baka hindi lang 200 yung nagamit mo kasi nga, 204 kasi mainit na yan. And for April, we use the daily average of January, preceding 3 months. So kung April lang kinukuha natin, average daily consumption nung January, 180 plus 200 plus 204 divided by the total number of days. So we arrive at 193. So alam naman natin, as Joe said kanina, yung April sobrang taas ng temperature, ang gamit natin ng kuryente, everyone's at home, so appliances are switched on most of the time, especially fans and aircons. And then dahil ECQ, work from home, ang mga bata nasa bahay din, so baka hindi sapat yung 193 na estimate na ginamit natin. Okay, so now we have read the meter this May. Starting May 4, nagbasa na po tayo ng may meter reader na tayong dineploy sa ating field. So para basahan ng ating mga metro. So ngayon po nakapagbasa ang meter reader, ang nakalagay dito sa metro ni Joe 2350 ang reading niya. So ang gagawin natin ngayon dito, Roby, yung 2350 na reading for May, ima-minus natin yung reading noong February 1600. So makakakuha tayo ng difference na 750 kilowatt-hour. Kaso nag-advance ako ng March estimate sa iyo ng 204. And then sa April nag-advance din ako sa iyo ng 193. So yung net kilowatt-hour consumption that I will bill you for May ay 353. So, ganito namin kino-compute ngayon ang mga bills para magkaroon ng adjustment yung estimated that we gave in March and April. So, mataas talaga ang magiging net kasi nga yung ating ginamit.
Linawin ko lang po, as of May, bale, nakahabol na yon. Yun na yung
yes, tama.
As of May, pag nagtuos na tayo. Wala akong inaangkay na pagtuos beyond May. Humabol na yon, nakahabol na yung account.
Nakahabol na kung ikaw ay babasahan po ngayong Mayo. So, minus estimated bills, kaya we will bill you the 353 kilowatt-hour for the month of May. Ganito natin ko-computein yung bill ng ating customers. Okay?
So tataas na actually, no? Tataas. Reasonable ba yung nila times 4? Ano ba yun?
Madagdagan ko lang, kung papansinin nyo yung konsumo, actually ito yan eh. Yung konsumo ng January ko at saka kukumpara sa Mayo, doble halos yung tinaas. Because of the fact, sabi ko nga kasi nung yung January, malamig yung panahon, December, yun yung basehan ng meter reading. Plus nung ECQ, yung increase ng consumption because of summer months, plus lahat tayo nandito naka-lockdown. Expected talaga sisipa yung consumption nung nabasa na yung metro. So yun yung sinasabi ni Engineer Ferdy kanina, that is expected. And in my particular, yung pinakitang yan ni Ferdy, yung January, kung ikukumpara mo yung January consumption sa May consumption, halos nagdoble.
Yeah, may base effect. May base
Yes,
effect
so-
yung dahil yung
Yes.
mismo ng December,
Yes.
January talagang kakaiba yun. It's an outlier
Oo.
kasi mababa doon. Pagkatapos on the
Oo.
other extreme, outlier din, sobrang init ngayon
Oo.
at ECQ pa nasa bahay. Kaya yung
Yeah.
multiplier effect pagdating ng May, ganun na lang kataas.
Tama. Kasi yung dapat lumabas, kung nabasa yung Metro nung Marso at Abril, dapat sana wala yun dun sa May to the
Oo.
decrease the rate. Kailangan mong maisama yon dahil nabasa mo na yung actual meter. Sa kaso naman namin, it's really the actual meter consumption na magre-register at magre-reflect. At the end of the day, yun yung magiging pinaka-basis na nakonsumo mo talaga yung kuryente mo. That's why we're saying, tama po, kung ano ho yung lumabas sa bill ninyo, hindi po namin minagic yan, hindi po yan walang basehan.
Hinulaan.
Hinulaan. Yan po ay base sa lumabas sa Metro na kinonsumo nyo nung panahon ng ECQ.
Etong typhoon,
Dagdag ko lang.
nag-uumpisa na ngayong typhoon season. Can we expect a steady supply of electricity considering na apektado pa rin ng quarantine yung mga teams ninyo, di ba? Can we expect a steady supply? Baka madagdagan na naman yung mga outages?
Magandang tanong yan, Ami. Kasi kami, kapag ganitong may papasok na bagyo, we actually already have a drill in place. Usually, naka-alert status na kami at sinisiguro namin na we will be able to respond to any given situation. So ang tinitingnan natin ngayon are two things. Una, yung alert status namin dahil ECQ. Siyempre, kahit pa paano, meron din konting limitations insofar as our strategy or response is concerned dahil naka-lockdown marami pa ring areas na extend pa nga yung ating ECQ, no? Although modified. Pangalawa, itong sasalubungin nating bagyo. But rest assured, kami naman, we have been in this situation for so many times. From the time ng Typhoon Yuling noong 1972, ni Milenyo noong 1995, at yung iba pang mga bagyo na sumalubong sa amin. Pero walang quarantine nung panahon na yon. I think this will be a different challenge to us. But ever since naman, we have been in existence for more than 100 years. And as I said, we know the drill. As long as we have anticipated that there will be trouble in our facilities, strategically naman nakahanda yung ating mga tao to respond to any given situation. And that I can assure all our consumers.
Yes.
Okay.
At ang aming mga business center ay bukas na po lahat. Kaya matutulungan po natin ngayong magbabagyuhan po talaga.
What about meron kayong program na pwedeng hulugan ang bayad?
Yan ang napakagandang tanong, Ma'am Luchi.
So,
dahil yung ating Mayo ay sabi natin kanina 353 para medyo malayo yung doon sa mga nakaraang buwan, ang binigay po natin due date para sa lahat po ng May bill ay May 30, ma'am. So bibigyan po natin ng time yung ating mga customers talaga makapag-ipon para po mabayaran po nila yung kanilang May bill. And then yung March at April bill po natin na average, yun po ay isusuma at i-divide sa 4 at magi-start po yung hulog niyan sa June, July. Yung iba po ngayong magi-start sa May, pero karamihan po ng customers ay sa reading po ng June, July, August. Huhulugan po nila ito in 4 equal monthly amortization. Kaya magaan naman po siguro na masesettle yung March and April bills po.
Engineer and Joe, meron bang tips? Meron bang kaya ko pa bang magtipid kahit na sobrang init na at nakukulong ako sa bahay, o ang tip na lang ba magtiis na lang? I mean in all practicality, meron bang secret diyan na pwede naman nating i-share sa mga kababayan?
Naku, gandang tanong niyan.
Expert si Joe.
Pag na-interview ko na tinatanong sa akin yan, lagi ko sinasabi, mahirap naman na mag-impose, for example, na sobrang init ng panahon. Nakikita naman natin yung klima talagang sobrang taas ng temperatura. At ang init, kahit wala kang gawin, pinapawisan ka. Pero ito siguro, if we can revisit how we use our electricity at home, kung apat yung kwarto natin at yung mga anak natin may sariling kwarto, baka paminsan-minsan pwedeng doon muna matulog sa master's bedroom. O kaya, tiin natin yung magkapatid sa isang kwarto, yung si Bunso doon sa master's bedroom kasama ni Mrs. O kaya naman kung magpa-plancha po tayo, alam naman natin ngayon na ECQ, ang dami talagang plantsahin at labada. Sabay-sabayin na natin kaysa na araw-araw natin ginagawa yan. Pangalawa, yung tinatawag naming phantom load, no? Nakasaksak pero makikita mo nakailaw. Baka pwede i-unplug na natin yung mga appliances na merong ganyong klase ng konsumo. So, maraming pamamaraan. Ipa-plug ko lang, Robbie, yung aming website, www.meralco.com.ph. Napakadami pong tips na matututunan yung ating mga consumers or on how to manage and how to be energy efficient.
All right. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Mr. Zaldarriaga and Mr. Alejandro.
Pleasure, Sars. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Maraming salamat po, mga idol na tagapagpahayag. Salamat po.
Salamat pa.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And that will be all for this special edition of the Chiefs. We hope that what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. I'm Yu Chi Valdez of News 5.
I'm Ami Paminton of the Philippine Star.
I'm Robbie Alampay, and we are One News.